All right, hey, it's numerical line. It's Dan. Hey, how's everybody doing? Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And I want to look into Juneteenth, which is a national holiday. And here, let me bring this up here from Wikipedia, that trusted source. It's officially Juneteenth National Independence Day. It's also known as Jubilee Day, Emancipation Day, Freedom Day, Black Independence Day. It is now a federal holiday in the United States commemorating emancipation of enslaved African Americans. It is also often observed for celebrating African American culture. Originating in Galveston, Texas, it's been celebrated annually on June 19th in various parts of the United States since 1865. The day was recognized as a federal holiday on June 17th of last year when President Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law. Juneteenth's commemoration is on the anniversary date of the June 19th, 1865 announcement of General Order Number 3 by Union Army General Gordon Granger, proclaiming freedom for the enslaved people in Texas, which was the last state of the Confederacy with institutional slavery. So there's going to be a far-ranging decode because, one thing connects to another, and how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go, right? So let's look at Juneteenth. Juneteenth in gematria it equals 148, and we've seen this number in relation to this word here. I just did a video about this, the N word. So it's really what they're saying when they say Juneteenth. Jubilee Day equals 59, another word stamped on black people. And, jigaboo, slave, Negro, all 59. Jubilee Day is also 40, which in the Jewish cipher, the N word equals 40. They signed it into law on 6/17 or 6/17, which is the 113th prime. 113, a number of deception. 113, fiction. 113, bullshit. 113, not true. 113. Let's look at the date numerology. 64, 28, 44, 7, and 168. That's what we'll be looking at. It's also the 17th. In septenary cipher, African American equals 44. Also kill, 64 and 28, right? They're kill numbers. And 17, it is done on the 17th. Also a God number. And if you write out Juneteenth National Independence Day, it equals 168. And that's interesting because it happened on the 168th day of the year. Funny they should sign something like that. Isn't that apropos? So slave also equals 23. It happened on a day with 23 numerology. And 59, of course, the 17th prime. So Joe Biden, born on the 20th in 1942. He signed this on the 30th week of his age. And, of course, the N-word equals 30. And it's the longest running African American holiday, equals 181, which is, of course, the 42nd prime, getting back to this word. That also equals 593, African American holiday. And 593 is the 108th prime. And that's interesting because this was done originally on a day with 108 numerology, 108. And it was 156 days after It happened 156 days before Joe Biden's birthday. I think it would have been his 79th birthday. And that's interesting because Lincoln is 79. I think Lincoln is 79. The man who supposedly freed the slaves. Yeah, Lincoln 79. Of course, that murder number 79. Look at Lincoln and murder. No wonder he got killed. 79, 34, and 38. So it's 156 days. That's interesting because if you write out 33, it equals 156. And you write out 156 years ago, it equals 137, which is the 33rd prime. I'm sure you believe me, but 137, the 33rd prime, there it is. I don't know if people can see this. Make it bigger. Make everything bigger here. Make this bigger. Oops, what happened? So there's more. I've got more. I just kept on digging. So talked about that. 6 plus 17, 23 slave. Talked about Biden. Talked about that. So here it is. He signed this into law on June 17th, making it a legal public holiday. 156th anniversary, right? Talked about that 156 years ago. If you write out 33 in Jewish, it equals 148, right? Interesting, 148, that N word again in Jewish. Just another coincidence, I guess. If you write out Emancipation Proclamation equals 113, so you know that was bullshit, basically. Look at Abraham Lincoln. It was actually called Proclamation 95, a reflection of 59, both 84, right? Slaves, 84. I think the Jesuit order is 84, if I'm not mistaken. The Jesuits, 84. Also 42, that number. So here's Abraham Lincoln, one of our most celebrated presidents, born on February 12th, 1809, and of course assassinated, allegedly, on April 15th. It was 42 days from when the order went into effect to his next birthday. Slavery, 42. The N-word, 42. So here's the stats on it. On September 22nd, 1862, Lincoln issued the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation, which announced that in states still in rebellion, listen to this, this was not really a gutsy thing to do. It was really a military tactic. Slaves would be freed. So the states in rebellion. He kept his word. On January 1st, issued the Emancipation Proclamation. Happy New Year. Freeing the slaves in 10 states, not then under Union control. So he had no power, really, to do this, with exemptions specified for areas under such control. Lincoln's comment on signing the proclamation was, "I never in my life felt more certain that I was doing right than I do in signing this paper." He spent the next 100 days preparing the army and the nation for emancipation, while Democrats rallied their voters by warning of the threat that freed slaves posed to northern whites. So, with the abolition of slavery in the rebel states now a military objective, that's what it was about. Union armies advancing south liberated 3 million slaves. Enlisting former slaves became official policy. By the spring of 1863, Lincoln, and 63 is an interesting number. Why did he choose that it should go into effect in 63? Why? This is racism. Racism equals 63. That's why it was put in effect in 63. Possible reason. Lincoln was ready to recruit black troops in more than token numbers. So this is what this did, really. In a letter to Tennessee military governor Andrew Johnson, who became president, right, encouraging him to lead the way but in raising black troops, Lincoln wrote, "The bare sight of 50,000 armed and drilled black soldiers on the banks of the Mississippi would end the rebellion at once." By the end of 1863, at Lincoln's direction, General Lorenzo Thomas had received 20 regiments of blacks from the Mississippi Valley. This was a military tactic. Totally a military. It's a military tactic. That's why he freed the slaves. He freed the slaves in the 10 states in rebellion. He did not have the authority. He didn't free any slaves in these border states. He didn't free any slaves that were in the north. He didn't do any of that. So let's look at this thing. His quote: "I never in my life felt more certain that I was doing right than I do in signing this paper." That equals 1117, and that's 187th prime. We've seen that number. It has all the earmarks of the Society of Jesus, right? 187. Look at Civil War and Lincoln. 97, 79, 43, and 34. Right? This is 119 and 56, all-seeing eye. Civil War, all-seeing eye. 119, 156. So, I said 10 states in rebellion. 10 equals 42. What's rebellion? I remember rebellion was a big word. Rebellion. 47, like a foundational thing. Also 52, like Gematria, Kabbalah. So, he's famous for, supposedly he freed the slaves, right? Equals 229. That's interesting because it happened on 9/22 or 22/9. That's the first proclamation in, what is it? Yeah, in 1862. September 22nd. Freed the slaves. So isn't that interesting? Freed the slaves also equals 59. What's that number again? Also 76, just like Negro. Word Negro. 59 and 76. And 9 plus 22, 31. Slave, 31. So it's interesting because we're still in slavery, really. I mean, we really are. Wage slavery, we're in a wage slavery, that equals 60, like the N-word, right? Wage slavery and the N-word. Wage slave, 148, just like that, you know, the N-word in Jewish. So then I got into Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad, 102, like slavery, like the N-word, right? We all know these numbers. And if you check out Dane Calloway's work, he talks about how she was a fictional character. Harriet Tubman, also 60. Slave ships, 59. He talks about how there was no transatlantic slave trade. He actually got the official reporting people that reported that 12.5 billion Africans were transported down to like 80,000. The Middle Passage, 148. Another N-word for you. Shackles. They wore shackles, 42. Plantation in 48. So it's interesting, this day, June 19th, also a day the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was approved on this day 58 years ago. Isn't that interesting? I thought that was really interesting. Also, the First Council of Nicaea was supposedly going on at this time, where they established canons, and they sort of codified the Bible and everything, and talked about the divinity of Christ. That was on the 19th as well. A lot of things happened. English colonists leave Roanoke Island. A lot of things happened on this day. It's also Father's Day. Look at Father's Day. Father's Day. Notice these numbers here. Father's Day and slave trade. Very similar. 107 and 163 in the same cipher. I don't know if you can see that. Look at that. So very interesting. So also, King James's birthday is that day, and King James was a black man. He was a black man, son of a black man and a colored woman. King James. And supposedly there's the King James Bible. Right? It doesn't look very black here, but he's been whitewashed. History has been whitewashed. This article was written on September 11th. Pretty funny. And I was looking at this thing about black Americans in Congress. Guess how many there are in the 117th Congress? There's 59. Can't make this shit up. See, 59? It's so funny. And then they say 58 here. I don't know why they're saying 58. Clearly there's 59. But I think the N-word in Jewish is 58. Could be wrong. Let's look. What's the N-word pluralized? Oh my God. Look at this. And Lincoln. An exact match. I've never noticed that before. That is crazy. Look at that. So yeah, supposedly, so I was going to look that up in Jewish. That's right. So, let's see, Jewish. I don't know which one it's in, but probably, yeah, Jewish ordinal. The N-word 58. So maybe there are 58. I don't know. So that about does it. June 19th. Why June 19th? Because that's a Masonic ritual. 19/6, right? Ritual. Rituals. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, I'm done. Thanks, everybody. Happy Father's Day. Happy Civil Rights Act Day. Happy Juneteenth. Happy a lot of things. And thanks, everybody, for watching this video. I'll see you next time.